I also absolutely know, as I sit here talking to you, that there was a craft from beyond this world that crashed at Roswell, that the military picked up remains of not just the wreckage, but cadavers. And all of that was made public for a short while, and then when the War Department, this was before the Pentagon and the Department of Defense existed, but it was some 18 hours later when people back up in Washington thought about what had been said and admitted to, said, this isn't going to work. And the balloon thing came in, and the big general came in, and all the people who were down at Roswell suddenly were transferred, and this thing went into cold storage. And why has it stayed that way? Well, it stayed that way because back then people like Mac Brazel and Sheriff Wilcox and everybody else that knew what they knew because they had seen what they saw and smelled what they smelled with the decaying cadavers, they all bought into the notion that when the government says don't talk, you don't talk. And when the government implies that it can bring pressures to bear if you do talk, and they explain to you what those are, people with any degree of sense and concern about their family's well-being and their financial nature and their property and everything else, they shut up and they don't say anything. And then the passage of time takes care of most of it because it sort of went away until many, many years later, and it underwent that miraculous revitalization, and now everybody knows about Roswell, and everybody is torn between the evidence provided by the government that it was weather balloons and other evidence that people continue to find and dredge up that says, no, damn it, something really amazing happened there. And in all of it, the way the Air Force handled it early on when the FBI was involved, the CIA's involvement to include a study done on the UFOs published in our own Studies in Intelligence, internal CIA publication, which actually was done in an unclassified form. A lot of that talks about the perception of reality, the misdirection of other people's perception by suggesting new realities. It's propaganda. It's Machiavellian. I was able to get in to look at the HIC to see about filming a little bit in there. And always had an escort, but I was in there once by myself. And I went into the side room and looked at all those boxes, and they all had really, really interesting handwritten notes in that little title window as to what was in the boxes. And I could have still been there to this day looking at those boxes, but I only had a chance to glance at one, and I pulled the one down that said Roswell. And I opened it up, and I looked inside. Cannot, will not, under any imaginable set of circumstances, tell you what I saw in there specifically. There were materials, there were papers, there were other items. John, 100% guarantee in my heart and soul, I say Roswell happened. There was a craft, absolutely cadavers. Beyond that, I have no idea where anything else went. As to how it has stayed a cover-up, the same way all of the other pieces of evidence about any conspiracy, they get lost, they get packed away, pushed back in corners. Old people with historical continuity leave an organization. New people come in representing a new generation where nobody looks in a file, nobody goes to a safe, and there's nothing in a box. Everything is on a computer screen, and everybody has 14-and-a-half-inch biceps and sunken chests sallow-looking faces, and they type like blue blazes, and they open more goddamn windows on a computer and do more manipulations than you can imagine. It's a
easy, man.
Kind of world, you know.
Don't invoke the deity. This is no time to go making enemies.
So all of the stuff that could be anywhere for anybody to look at is nobody knows where it is, and all the people that knew there was any stuff to look at have all gone on to meet their deity. And I apologize for the moment of undiscipline.
No, they'll only catch it on the podcast. Don't worry about it. There may be children listening now.
But look,
doubtful.
The point is, somewhere there is whatever still remains of the remains, and it's very clear to anybody that looks at any of the evidence to include now with high tech. I've just learned from somebody that something that I'm not sure who was holding it, if it was Marcel or somebody that's holding the little pieces of metal and a piece of paper in his hand. And now they've gone in with aliasing and 3D stenography and all sorts of other things with beefing up signal strength and pulling information from the background. And they see words like cadavers and remains on some of the paperwork in those old 1947 photos. So look, I don't know where all this stuff is, but I know that Roswell happened.